Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie, and I've got some spooky summer books I want to talk about. Okay, so it is currently August 11th, and oh my god, it is so hot. It's so hot right now. It is a weird time of year because it's so hot. It's like the dog days of summer, which, I actually love the heat, so I'm having a good time. But the problem is that everybody else seems to be moving towards fall vibes. And I love fall, okay? Fall is like my favorite season, as it is for many people. But I feel like, normally I get excited when I go to the grocery store and see the fall decor out. I'm like, yes, it's finally my favorite time of year. But for some reason, this year has felt like it's gone so fast to the point of like, I'm getting scared. Like, I'm concerned. Like, I feel like it's going faster than usual, and I feel like we all just need to chill out. This has also been just like a very weird year for me personally. Like, a lot of good things happened, but it has been weird nonetheless. And because of that, I think it's just like warped my sense of time. This year just like does not feel normal. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm just like trying to hold on to summer just a little bit longer. Like, I do really love fall. I love the spooky season. I love the books in it. I love it. But I'm getting concerned that we are in the final stretch of 2023. It just does not feel like that could possibly be true. And also it's been a weird year for me here on BookTube, because I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of BookTube, which is really crazy. And I will admit that it's kind of not panned out exactly the way I thought that it would be. And that's really just due to a lot of unexpected factors that like I did not know were gonna happen when I started back in September of last year. So I haven't been able to upload as much as I want, just because I just like don't have the bandwidth to be able to make as many videos as I wanted. I have like a ton of ideas. I have all the books I want to read for them and all that. I just wasn't able to get out as many videos because the editing takes so long. Even though I like don't even like really edit. Like, I edit, but not like anything fancy, but it still takes a long time. And also you have to read all the books. So there's that. Oh my god, it's so hot. Like, it's so hot. Oh my gosh. Okay. But anyway, like, all of that is to say that like this weekend I kind of just wanted to do a fun weekend reading vlog and try to like soak up those last summer moments, even though like we have plenty of time. We have until the end of August. We have until Labor Day. But I got a bunch of books, and I'm going to the Barnes & Noble sale because they are doing 50% off hardcover. And like, do I need anything? No, but I do have a list. I have a list I'm looking out for. And I just thought it would be a fun thing, a little treat myself. I could just get to go book shopping. That's very exciting for me. Again, not that I really need to do that, but I have some books I want to talk about. First of all, I did think it might be exciting because I did get my September book of the month box, which I'm very, very, very excited about. So thought we might want to go over that. Even though I won't be reading any of these books this weekend, it's just a little preview of what is going to be upcoming in the very, very near term. So the first book that I got is Shark Heart: A Love Story by Emily Habeck, that's how you pronounce her name. I have seen such praise for this book. This book is a speculative literary thing. It says Shark Heart: A Love Story. It is about a man who has a very odd condition in which he's turning into a shark. And it is about this couple who is reeling with this very odd disease. I have no idea what this is going to be like. I just know that it's gotten really high praise. The cover is absolutely stunning, and I'm very, very interested in it. This does sound like a story that I would really enjoy. I'm not the best about like weird fiction, speculative fiction, but I do love stories that are about grief or dealing with really hard topics, and also just literary fiction in general. I am so sorry that my hair is just absolutely awful. I mean, it's usually pretty bad because I don't do it, but like it's so hot and it's just the frizziness is just out of control. Anyway, okay, so that's Shark Heart. The next one that I have is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas, which, again, gorgeous cover. I'm very excited about this because her first novel, actually I don't know if it's her first novel, but her last novel that was really popular called The Hacienda got incredible reviews. And even though I haven't actually read that one yet, I could not pass this up when it was in Book of the Month because I'm skeptical when it comes to horror novels because I worry that they're not actually going to be scary. But I was told that The Hacienda was really good and spooky and it had all the vibes. So I'm hoping that that is true for Vampires of El Norte. It's just stunning. Like, that is a beautiful, beautiful book. So very excited to get to this one in the fall. Okay, so those were my 2 September picks for Book of the Month. I can't wait to get to either of them. I really want to read both of them. I love Book of the Month because I love the build up to figuring out what that month's books picks are gonna be. I don't always love the picks. Like, sometimes I do skip, which is why I was able to get 2 this month because I skipped last month. But I just think it's so fun. Even though I don't need more books, I just have a really great time with the whole process. So I've been having a great time with it this year. Okay, moving into a stack of books that I do want to talk about for this weekend vlog. First up, I am currently listening to Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell on audiobook right now. I did pick up, I've had this physical copy forever because I really love Maggie O'Farrell. I've only read her memoir though. This is the second book I've read by her, but she's a great writer. I'm very interested in what she has to say. I picked this up a while ago, actually on my trip, or for my trip to England. I was planning on reading this book, tried it, didn't get very far, and that made me sad because I had really high hopes for this book. So I decided to pick up the audiobook and I'm about halfway through it. So we'll see how it goes. This is about William Shakespeare's wife, mostly. It's mostly about his wife and his son Hamnet, who contracts the bubonic plague. And it's just a very insular story about his wife Agnes, who's the protagonist of this book, and her dealing with this sickness that they're dealing with in their family. And it's also told in dual timelines of her and their life leading up to that moment when her son gets sick, and then the other perspective is in the timeline of the days as they go by in the early days of the sickness. So 2 timelines. I'm halfway through it. I'm still not really loving it, which is super sad because I really, really, really wanted to love this book. It sounds like exactly something that I would love, but I've heard it really picks up in the second half, so I'm giving it a fair shot and listening to this on audiobook this weekend. And then now to talk about some of the spooky reads that I'm interested in picking up. So I don't know what it is about August or this time of year, but I'm always in the mood to read some silly, ridiculous horror. Last year I did try to read contemporary thrillers, did not work out. So this year I'm okay, we'll just go horror or something like that. And it is always this time of year that I do start really wanting to pick up just silly, easy to read horror. I don't know why. Not quite full spooky season horror, but just something kind of just off and weird and silly in a way. I don't know. I can't even explain it. I did just finish reading The Walking Dead Compendium 2, which I'm making a video. I read 1 per quarter, and I'll have the video done at the end of the year after I read all 4 of them. But I did just finish reading that, so that kind of is maybe was making me want more of that, just this fun, easy to read horror. So I am looking at some stuff in that vein. So first up, I have a book that is actually my book club pick of the month, and that is Homestick, a short story collection by Nino Capri. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce their name, but this is a short story collection, and it is kind of like a speculative thriller, kind of like, it's in the vein of Carmen Maria Machado, which we absolutely loved. We read 2 books by Carmen Maria Machado. Her short story collection, which is called Her Body and Other Parties, and then In the Dream House, which is her creative memoir. And we loved both of them so much, so this was recommended as like for fans of Carmen Maria Machado, short story collection. And I've only read a couple of them so far, and they are like kind of spooky, kind of weird. And this one in particular, this short story collection, the theme is like home and what that means, and also it does revolve a lot around queer relationships and gender identity. So I've only read a couple of them so far, and they are definitely a little off the wall, a little odd, but I'm excited to read more of them because short story, like spooky short stories, is a genre that I really like. Next up is a book I've been honestly like dying to read for the longest time, and I don't even expect it to be good. I just like think it's gonna be silly and like ridiculous and fun, and that is Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. Like, look at this insane cover. It's like IKEA themed. It's an IKEA themed horror, and I know that the reviews of this have like not been good. Like, I don't expect it to be good, but I do expect it to just be like, just have some fun. And honestly, like, I'm just so curious because it is like, the format is like, it looks like an IKEA catalog, and like, I just like, what could this be? I really have no idea. I'm just excited. I hope that I can read it in this weekend. We'll see. I just think it's so ridiculous, but I absolutely love the cover, and I hope that I really like this because I would like to buy a copy for myself, but I got it from the library because I was like, the reviews are so bad, and so like, it's probably not going to be good, but I'm gonna read it and find out. And then lastly, I have this book, which, you know, I have not heard many people talk about, but it is a new release, and that is Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. I have not heard people talk about this, but I do believe that this is a 2023 release. Yeah, this is a 2023 release, so the fact that I'm not hearing anybody talking about this is a little bit concerning, but I did put this on hold from my library like a long time ago, like before they actually had the copy of it. And the reason for it is because it says on the cover, it says an evocative, bone-chilling read, which is exciting. And it's a horror thriller. I don't know if it's horror, but it's like a mystery thriller set in a coastal town during the summer, and I believe there's a serial killer involved. It is the story about the sun-drenched summer, days of his youth in Whistler Bay, and the blood-stained path of the killer that has stalked his small vacation town. So, summer vibes. I love it. I'm very excited. This is exactly what I wanted to read in August, a thriller, but still summer vibes. And then on the back, what I'm really interested in is that it says that if you love the novels of Shirley Jackson, Patricia Highsmith, and Tanya French, here's your next obsession. I've never read Tanya French, but I have read Shirley Jackson and Patricia Highsmith, both of which I really liked. And then this says that Ward is an alchemist of storytelling, an original puzzle of a book. The mystery so beautifully crafted you don't see its folds, with edges sharp as a paper cut, and a blisteringly smart portrait of the torturous ways a story can take its own life. So I'm just so intrigued by this. I hope it's scary a little bit, and I hope it's smart. So we have something that is so ridiculous, and I think it's going to be like really dumb, but in a fun way. And then we have something that I really want to be smart and spooky and creepy. So these are the 2 books that I'm going to attempt to read this weekend. They are quite long, so not sure how it's going to work out, but this is the vibe that I want right now. And I am going to Barnes & Noble for their half-price hardback sale, and I will show you what I get. Hello, it is later. It's much later. It is 1 a.m. and I have just finished Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. I did read it all in one sitting. One night. It's not a super long book, because the way that the text is like, I don't think I'm showing you very well, but like there's a lot of white space on the page, and I just felt like it just went pretty fast. And just in general, I do tend to read horror books very quickly. I like to read them in one sitting, or like one or two sittings at most. So yeah, I was happy because I did want to read this weekend, and I did not want it to take me a very long time, so was very happy with that. Yeah, what are my thoughts? I honestly don't know how to feel about this one, because I picked this up out of just genuine pure curiosity. Grady Hendrix, I have read, or I tried to read another book by Grady Hendrix, The Final Girl Support Group, and I DNF'd at like under 100 pages. I just absolutely hated the writing and just really couldn't stand anything about it, to be honest. So I did not have high hopes for this, but I was so curious. The cover is like so cool. I actually saw this for the first time in Barnes & Noble, and I almost bought it because I was just like so obsessed with the cover, and like there is like some artwork in it. It's not like super in depth, but it does kind of like match the IKEA catalog and stuff like that. So I just thought that was really cool, and just conceptually, I think this is such a fun idea. So what this is it is based on an IKEA-like store. It's a parody of IKEA, and it's basically a haunted house story, but it's inside an IKEA. And essentially the setup is that some weird happenings have been going on at this, I'm just gonna say IKEA, but it has a different name, but weird happenings have been going on at this IKEA after dark. So a group of the workers decide to stay overnight and like figure out what's going on. And it does say that this is like, I don't know, in some of the blurbs, like it says like satirical, humorous, something like that. So I was kind of expecting like a horror comedy, like satire, and there is some satire, there is some commentary, but to be honest, there's not much. This is very much like more of it's just like a campy, gory, true horror. Like, actually, I was surprised that it was as scary as it was, or like as tense as it was. There are some pretty brutal scenes in here, and they are some pretty terrifying moments, not gonna lie. But it's just that like the whole thing is so ridiculous that like it really doesn't, like, it doesn't sit with you all that long. Like, it just is ridiculous. But it's, I mean, honestly, more scary than I expected it to be. It's just fun. I think my opinion on it is that like I didn't even know what to expect, and I really did not expect much. Like, I had very low expectations going into this. So I mean, I guess it's like a 3, because like on the one hand, it really does deliver on its premise. Like, I definitely can imagine that, you know, everybody who's walked into an IKEA has been like, oh my God, can you imagine getting like lost in this IKEA? Like, what if we get trapped in here forever? And that's like a terrifying, silly thought that everyone has had, because it has this kind of like very unnerving feel to it. So I did think that's hilarious. But I felt like the commentary it was going for was really just scratching the surface, and I could have done with more satire and the like horror aspect of it, like the supernatural aspect of it, I guess. I wish it would have been more tied to the commentary. It sort of tries to go there, but it doesn't quite make it. I'm fine with what it was, but I felt like there were a couple different directions that it could have gone that would have made a little bit more sense. But I wasn't upset with what it was. And like I said, it was scarier than I expected it to be. Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy I read it, because this has been kind of on my radar for a long time. But I'm also happy that I didn't buy it at Barnes & Noble like I was originally planning to do. So that's it. I had a good time. I'm really happy I finally read it, and I'm on to do something else tomorrow and start a new book. Good morning. Good morning. It is Saturday morning, and I thought I would show you what I got at Barnes & Noble. Yeah, so tragically, when I got there, it turns out that the half-price hardback sale did not apply to every single hardback book, which is very sad. Although I kind of should have known, because I know that they always have that half-price hardback sale right after Christmas. It's like December 26th through like the 1st or 2nd of the year, and that's when they always have that sale. And I was like, oh, I don't remember them ever having another version of that sale, and it's because they don't. It's only for like specific books. And I did go in there with a list, and I did find all of the books on my list, but none of them qualified for the half price sale. So I just bought them full price. So who's to say if that was a good or bad decision? I have said this multiple times, but there's absolutely just no rhyme or reason as to when I get a book from the library versus when I buy it, or buy it used. Like, there's truly no sense in it, and there should be. I should have some sort of rule or system, but I don't. And the fact of the matter is that actually for 2 of these, they are book club books. And one of them I placed a hold on at the library, but it's like weeks away, and I'm concerned it won't be here in time for me to read it during the month of September, because we do like weekly sessions. So it's not like, oh, I could just pick it up anytime in September. It's like I have to make it to the weekly sessions. So that's gonna be my excuse as to why I paid full price for this. And then the other one, I did check at my library. They only have, I believe, like an ebook version, and I'm not an ebook reader. I don't have like a Kindle or even like an iPad. I don't want to read my books online. I spend too much time looking at my phone screen, at my computer screen. It's truly the last thing I want to do. So that is going to be my justification as to why I paid full price for these books. Anyway, okay, the first one up is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. Curtis Sittenfeld. So, very popular book. This book has been making the rounds all year. I believe it came out either early this year or like late last year, but it has been making the rounds all year, and everyone seems to love it. This is an especially risky choice for me to pay full price for, because I don't read a lot of romance. I don't read a lot of like contemporary fiction necessarily is not a genre I would go to. This is not a book that I would be interested in. But first of all, it was a book club pick. So, okay, great. And then second of all, this does follow a comedy television writer, and I love TV. I've wanted to be a television writer before in my past. I've worked for television, and I really love television, and I love anything to do with like that industry, with film, with anything like that. And this also features the love interest, who is like a pop star, and I'm very interested in just like fame and things like that. So I guess I want to be interested in this. And also, it has gotten really good reviews. It's gotten good reviews, and I hope that it is amazing for me. I paid full price for this. I hope I love it. Next up on my list is the September Literally Dead book club pick. I have done a video where I read some Literally Dead book club backlogs, and sometimes I do read them like live, the monthly picks, not always. I haven't read one since, like, I don't even remember the last time that I read one in real time. Oh, maybe the writing retreat, which was like in like February or something. No, I think it was April. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's been several months since I've read a Literally Dead book club pick in real time. And that's just because, you know, they're not always things that interest me. Sometimes they're contemporary thrillers, which I'm not much of a fan of. Sometimes they're just general mystery, which like is kind of hit or miss for me. But whenever they pick up a horror, I think about it. But this one is a literary horror, which absolutely you've got my attention. And that book is Monstrelio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. Look at this cover. Like, I kind of love it. I love it so much, actually. I was a little bit surprised to even find this at Barnes & Noble. I think there was like one copy like hidden, like just like in a random spot on the horror shelves, like, and I saw it and I was like, okay, like, I guess this is a sign that I do need to pick this up. So this is a literary horror which follows a mother whose son has died, and she attempts to bring him back from the dead through some sort of like black magic, I think. But the problem is that when he comes back, he's not himself. He's like a demon, actually. So it follows what happens after that. And it is a literary horror, which means it's kind of more thematic in its, like, there is horror elements, yes, and it's meant to be scary, but it's very much more like leaning towards themes and to kind of get somewhere along those lines with the story. I'm not sure if that's making any sense, but this is going to be a meditation on grief, which I've ironically been kind of reading a lot of, not intentionally, but I don't know, like, I read One Italian Summer, I've read Hamnet, and I hope to read Crying in H Mart very soon, and now this one. So like, I don't know why this is just a theme that keeps coming up in my reading recently, but I'm very excited to explore it. This is the September 2023 Literally Dead book club pick. And finally, a book that I am hoping I can convince my book club to pick up, because I really want a reason to talk about this with a lot of different people, and also would justify my full price, pay of it. This is a book that I really hoped would have been a book of the month pick, but it never was. So I just decided to pick it up because I just really wanted it. And that is Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. I'm so sorry, I definitely butchered that name, but Chain Gang All-Stars, it's a thick book. This is about two women who are in the prison system, and this is kind of a like speculative social commentary, dark satire. I don't really know exactly what genre this falls into, but it is kind of speculative. It is set in a world in which there's kind of like it's been compared to like a Hunger Games-esque gladiator tournament between all of the inmates, and the winner gets their freedom. And it's about these two women who are gladiator fighters in this like arena battle, and they end up falling in love. So it's like a sapphic romance, but social commentary. It's speaking on the prison system. There is a little bit of a game aspect, which is something I'm always interested in. And I actually have read the short story collection by this author. I have it right here. That is Friday Black. I read this several years ago, and it's really, really fascinating. It's, again, a bunch of like speculative social commentary, kind of weird fiction in the vein of like Get Out. So it's like kind of has like a horror thriller lean to it, but always in the direction of social commentary. So I really enjoyed this. This is the short story collection again, and then Chain Gang All-Stars is his debut novel. So I could not be more excited to read this book. I hope to read it in September or October. I mean, I'd love to read this really soon, but I guess it'll depend if I can get my book club to read it. It might be a pick for later in the year. So those 3 new books, combined with the 2 books from Book of the Month that I got for August, combined with the other books of the month that I got for other months and I haven't read yet, means that I have quite a stack of new releases in my collection, and I just need to get it together and get these things read because I really am interested in all of them. Like, they all sound like so much fun. So I hope we can manage that. Hello again. It is quite a bit later than I saw you last, because unexpectedly on Saturday, we ended up going to Charleston, South Carolina, which is a place that I've never been before, but my mom was visiting my brother and just spontaneously called us up and was like, hey, can you come to Charleston for the weekend? So we drove the 5 hours and had a great time. I got to see Charleston for the first time and it was so beautiful. We walked around the downtown part. It was so gorgeous. And then on Sunday, we did get to go to the beach, which is always just amazing. Whenever I get to go to the beach, I'm so happy. It was completely unplanned and kind of threw this whole vlog off because originally my idea was just to do like basically what was like a 48-hour readathon, even though I didn't even think to call it that at first, and like I hadn't did not get into my mind that that's what I was doing. I really just wanted to do a very relaxed, like, here's some random books that I am just slotting in just because I feel like it, and to kind of like celebrate the end of summer. But it's morphed into something else, and I have been trying to change my location, my background, even though this is obviously like not exciting and not cute and not pretty, whatever. I'm just trying to mix it up because I'm still getting used to what I want my reading vlog format to be. Really, I just like to talk about books. I like to talk about the books that I'm reading. And I'm pretty bad at getting B-roll footage of what I'm doing in between, especially when I was in Charleston. I was really bad about it. I didn't even get I barely got a photo for myself. Like, what the heck? But anyway, on to the books. Okay. I already talked to you about Horrorstör, so that's out of the way. I do have an exciting update. I finished Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This one is interesting, so I really do want to talk about it. I finished this, I finished it on audiobook, and I'm kind of torn about my thoughts on it. So I started this months ago, couldn't really get into it. I kept putting it down at 100 pages, just was not working for me. But because I love Maggie O'Farrell and because I have heard such high praise for this book, and because this is really the kind of book that I should love. The target audience for this book, the kind of readers that it's going for, is literally me. This should have been a book that worked flawlessly for me. So I was determined to finish it, and I decided that the only way I was going to get through it was to read the audiobook, and that actually really did help. The audiobook was done super well. I really was enjoying my time with it. But how do I decide what to rate this as? So as I mentioned before, this is about Shakespeare, but more specifically Shakespeare's wife. She's the protagonist of the story, and about their son who contracts the plague. And it's just a very kind of just insular, isolated story of just this one family. She does kind of an interesting thing of alluding to who Shakespeare is without actually talking about him in very explicit terms. It's really interesting what she does. This is the thing, Maggie O'Farrell is an incredible writer. This is technically flawless. This is stunning from a writing perspective, and it is gorgeous. I do like flowery prose. I am the kind of person who would like this. Some people will probably think this is the prose is too intense. It's perfect for me. I absolutely loved it. And again, the audiobook was phenomenal. She did such a good job. I'm sorry, I don't know who it was, but whoever did the audiobook for this was really, really excellent. The writing is just amazing. This is objectively a masterpiece of writing. I really loved it. However, for some reason, the emotional core of the story did not hit as hard for me as I would have expected this to. Like, I really wanted to be like completely moved and like just gripped by this family, by this story, by everything going on in here, by this character. And for some reason, I just wasn't. Like, I just felt like I was always kind of held at an arm's length from the emotional core of the story. And I can't even articulate why. Because for all intents and purposes, the writing completely nailed it. So I can't say exactly why I wasn't moved so much for this. I think, like, objectively, I think this is like a 4-star book, but for my enjoyment, I mean, I have to say I would probably give it like a 3. Like, I liked it. I'm really happy I read it. I enjoyed the writing a lot, but I didn't feel as connected to the story as I expected to be. It just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I wanted to love this. But I will say, like, at one point, when I was thinking of DNFing it, or when I did soft DNF it from reading the physical copy, I was like, I might even unhaul this because this did not do anything for me. I do feel differently after having finished it. I don't think I will get rid of my copy of this. I think that maybe in the future, I could love this more. I think that after having sat with it for a bit, I do like really enjoy it. And I think like I'm, comfortably giving it a 4 stars, but there's just something about this that didn't hit all the way. And I don't even understand it. I don't understand it myself. So that's that. That's Hamnet. I will probably continue to pick up Maggie O'Farrell if I'm interested enough in the subject of the book. She writes a lot of historical fiction, which is not always my thing, but she does it in a pretty engaging way for the most part. Small update on Homesick by Nino Capri. So I'm halfway through it. I read more at the beach yesterday, and it's odd for me to update halfway when I haven't really finished it, but I don't see myself having another opportunity to talk about this at any length. And really, to be honest, like, I don't want to say I've not enjoyed these stories, because I think that they're fine. I think they're generally well written. I think that they have interesting aspects to them. I just, again, am not feeling super engaged by them. So I'm finishing this because it is a book club pick, and I still have like 100 pages left of it, which, yikes. I'm just not interested in continuing to pick this up. I don't know if it's just like short stories aren't really doing it for me recently. I don't really know, but I just feel like I have no opinions on this, and I think I'll continue to not have opinions. So that's just going to be my last update on it. They're not bad. Like, they are not bad stories by any means, and the writing is not bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. I just don't feel anything towards it. Sometimes that happens. And lastly, I was able to start Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward, which I was kind of skeptical going into it because I didn't know anything about it, but I've gotten not quite halfway, but almost halfway into it. And this is kind of going to be another interesting one. So I was expecting this to be kind of like a thriller slasher story. It's set in a small beach town, and the synopsis mentions there's going to be like a killer. And that's true to some degree, but let me tell you, this book is such a slow burn. Like, it is slow. Like, it is not a fast-paced book by any means, and like it does have interesting stuff in it. It's just very slow. And like, normally that would bug me, but I'm actually kind of enjoying it because I'm enjoying the writing a lot. I think the characters are done really well. I, am interested enough to keep moving. But this is not what I thought this was going to be at all. I thought this was going to be kind of like a mostly run-of-the-mill thriller set in a cute beach town. Not cute, but like a summery beach town. And definitely there is some of that too. But the story continues on farther. It actually spans many, many years. And there's like whole sections of this book, like the section I'm currently in, do not take place in the location at all, which I wasn't expecting. And in general, it's just completely different from what I thought this was going to be. The tone is different. The pacing is different. I think what it's tackling in terms of themes is really different from what I thought it was going to be. So, and then I've heard it just almost completely changes in the second half again. So that's pretty interesting. I actually am enjoying this, which is interesting. But the problem is that I like completely didn't mean to do this, but I accidentally saw a pretty negative review of it. And in fact, like a lot of reviews that I saw, I didn't watch any of them, but like when I went to YouTube and like searched this book to see who had reviewed it, because like nobody's been talking about this book, and it's by an author that like Last House on Needless Street is like a pretty well-known book. And I was just surprised that no one had been saying anything about this. And I went on YouTube and saw like from even the thumbnails and like it just did not have good reviews. So I was kind of debating whether I was even going to read it, because this thing is long. It's like almost 400 pages. And I'm not about a long book. They're just not for me. So I was like, dang, like, is it really worth it to waste my time and read this book? Because it's so long. It's so slow. Like, it is, it's not like going to be a quick, easy thing to read. So I'm like, is it even worth my time? But I'm actually enjoying it. So I'm in this like I'm usually not swayed much by, or I'm not influenced by reviews one way or another, but I have this like nagging in the back of my head being like, you're enjoying it now, but what if it gets so bad and you've already wasted so much energy on this? And like, are you going to DNF it, or are you going to just push through because you've already like, the sunk cost fallacy kind of thing? Which is so weird, because this is just not a feeling that I'm used to having. And even though I am enjoying this book, that nagging in the back of my head is like hindering me from fully just admitting and just being like, no, I actually really like this. So who's to say what's going to happen with that? I don't anticipate that I'm going to be able to finish this anytime soon. Like, I don't anticipate being able to finish it in the next like week even. So who's to say? I guess the next time I'll talk about this will probably be in a wrap up. I don't know if I'm going to do an August specific wrap up, but maybe I'll do like a summer wrap up or something like that. In which hopefully we will have an answer. But so far, I'm liking it. Okay, well, those are all the books that I read this weekend and into the first days of the week. But I hope that this did something for you. I don't know. I'm still kind of experimenting with the vlog format, and I don't know what exactly I want to do. But I did want to just talk about these books, because that's what I came to BookTube to do. I came to BookTube to talk about what I'm reading, and I kind of did a lot of reading recently and like here, and I felt happy about it. I felt like I wanted to share. So there you go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, month, year, summer, the very, very, very last couple days of summer. I hope that you spend them outside enjoying the nice weather or doing whatever it is you love to do. Thanks so much. I will see you guys next time. Bye.